And tonight we'll see a pair of them reinserted, one because of injury, one as a healthy scratch. Dylan Gambrell comes out for Austin Watson. The Sens lines tonight: Tim Stützle between Brady Tkachuk and Mathieu Joseph. Ridley Gregg maintains his spot between Alex DeBrincat and Claude Giroux. Shane Pinto with Tyler Mott and Drake Batherson. And Derek Brassard between Parker Kelly and Austin Watson. It's career game number 993 for Brassard. On the back end, Chabot with Zaitsev, Brandstrom and Zub, and Nick Holden with Travis Hamonic. In goal, Mad Sogard gets his first start of the season and third start in his NHL career. Is there one player in particular tonight, Meth, who you're going to be keeping an eye on, what we call our locked-on player?
Yes. Tonight I'm going to be paying attention to Brandstrom. And I'm only saying that because I know he had a game the other night, had his goal, which, that's great, gets a little confidence back. But you have to start focusing on what your team's going to look like next season. And for me, he's going to get an opportunity to play with Artem Zub tonight. He's going to be able to show what he can do. Obviously, Mad Sogard is the obvious guy because he's your new goalie coming in that I'd like to see play well as well. But right now, moving forward, as far as the team structure goes, you got to start figuring out where these pieces are. If Brandstrom can make a case that he belongs in your top four, it solves a lot of issues. I don't see it happening, but that'll be the guy that I'm focused in on.
Yeah, great call. I mean, the easy one, like you said, is Mad Sogard. So I'll give a different option, and that's Thomas Chabot, because there's no doubt he struggled in this game, man. He struggled.
Yes.
And it was.
I don't know what's going on.
Me neither. It's almost like the years of being run into the ground playing 30 minutes catch up on you.
Yeah. And it's funny. I was in the gym this morning, and it's always the older guys that'll approach me and start talking shop about the team, and I love it. I have no problem with that. But Chabot was brought up this morning, and I'm trying to figure out what to say because it's hard for me because, I don't like to be overly critical. I know he's a really good dude and he's well liked in the room.
Like he's been over expected since he's here. So it's hard to be hard on him, but it's like,
exactly.
Man,
but to be fair, it's the National Hockey League and you're in the business of winning games. And if you're not living up to your contract or the hype or whatever it may be, you're fair to criticism. And so, is it going to do Thomas Chabot any favors tonight that you've got elevated number 22 playing alongside him? Not. But if you're your number one defenseman on a team, you shouldn't be looking for a complementary piece, right? Let me reword that. You shouldn't have to rely on another player to make you look good. You should be complimenting whoever is paired with you and make that individual look good. So, for me, yeah, I agree with you there, Ross. It's a good call. The pressure's on Chabot right now because, you have to start performing well. It doesn't matter who you're playing with. You're an assistant captain. You're the number one guy on this team, allegedly. You got to play like it.
Yeah, and you made a great point that it was, I think, more on Pinto. Like, you don't like to see how McDavid was just able to manhandle and take the puck away and then play keep away. But Pinto
break the play down. Break the play down. You're playing against the best player on planet Earth, who is arguably the fastest still. And sure, he picks his pocket and gets the puck from him. But I could be very critical of a defenseman on any given play, but Chabot recovers. He maintains position between the best player in the NHL in the world and his goaltender. So he's in a good spot. All Pinto has, and I'm not shitting on Pinto because he's a young kid and I'm a big fan of his game, but that's a mistake. The whole mistake is on Pinto. I know it looks bad initially because McDavid is tall. He's got body position between him, the puck, and Chabot. Chabot, what do you want Shabby to do? Do you want him to grab him, to bear hug him? Like, you can't, there's not much you can do there. You give him a couple shots in the back, but you got to be careful there too. So it's all
McDavid's mastered that.
Exactly. So right away I came to his defense because it's like, no. Pinto, all Pinto has to do is just stay with his man there. I think it was Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Was it Derek Ryan? Yeah. Whoever, I forget the player, but just stay with him.
It was
let
McLeod.
it play out.
It was
Ryan McLeod. Ryan McLeod. Yeah, it wasn't Derek Ryan. Sorry.
Well, Derek Ryan was that. We'll get to that goal because that's where Shabby.
Yeah, agreed. And so anyway, long story short, people have to understand that there's a time and place to be critical of a player, but you have to read the play. That wasn't it.
No, fair. And yeah, that third period, like that goal, you can't give a guy that much space in the slot to just walk in.
Yeah, I know. And that's another one. But, that was their first game back in 11 days against a team that had already played 2. That is significant. Like, I've taken Olympic breaks in the past when I was still playing, and it's tough. That first game back is tough. And you could see it in their legs in that third period. The team just looked flat. And that to me was just a result of too much time off and lots of rust.
And the real kick in the balls is the fact that Edmonton then plays less than 24 hours later and gets pumped by Montreal of all teams. It's just like,
I know.
That's where you're at right now. And I know the Canadian division did a number on a lot of the plus minuses, and again, grain of salt stat, but dash 14 and 16 career games against Edmonton now for 72. So hopefully he can have a bounce back game tonight in his career against Calgary. Oh, actually a lot better. 11 assists in 15 games plus 6. So
cool.
Maybe we'll have a bounce back tonight. Calgary Flames are going to line up Elias Lindholm between Dylan Dubé and Tyler Toffoli, Nazem Kadri between Jacob Pelletier and Jonathan Huberdeau, Mikael Backlund between Andrew Mangiapane and Blake Coleman, and Trevor Lewis between Milan Lucic and Brett Ritchie. On defense, Noah Hanifin with Chris Tanev, Nikita Zadorov with Mackenzie Weegar, and then Dennis Gilbert with Michael Don't Call Me Mark Stone. The goaltenders, it's either Jacob Markstrom or Daniel Vladar. They're 5-4-1 in their last 10, but they're 25-18-10 on the season. Elias Lindholm leads the team with 48 points in 52 games. Now, this Backlund, Mangiapane, Coleman line, I'm going to be watching closely. I'm not a huge analytics guy, but I like seeing them and making some pre-scouts, let's say, on that. And they've got the highest expected goal percentage in the National Hockey League. So I think a really strong defensive line. And I'm going to be watching Timmy to see how that top line can answer and if Joseph's speed can be a factor. But if you have one key to victory for tonight, Meth, where are you going?
Discipline. It's not just discipline. It's puck management. Because look, you're hurting right now. You've got a very thin back end. This forward group will need to help out big time. And it's going to be 5-man units every shift, because you take one shift off with that depth that they have across the way there in Calgary. Like you just rifled off their 3 lines, pretty legit, right? I mean, I know they're not probably where they want to be exactly right now, but Ottawa's going to have their hands full. So things you can control, the stupid stick penalties, just stay out of the box. And yeah, I mean, just manage the puck properly, stay tight together in the D zone and cross your fingers.
So we talked about Tyler Kleven earlier in the show. To me, if you're looking at a prototype of what you want Tyler Kleven to be, it's Nikita Zadorov. Like I
agree.
That'd be awesome if he could become that.
Hey, listen, you can be as critical as you want of Zadorov, and you know, he's prone to making the odd dumb play. Yes, he's a big guy, and you know, sometimes manhandles players and takes dumb penalties, but it's that element of fear that he brings, right? Like people don't want to go near him. He's like what, 6'6", 200 and probably 45 pounds, whatever he is.
He's listed at 248.
There you go. Like that's in today's NHL, that is heavy. So look, I'm not here to fawn over him. I didn't even know we were going to be talking about him today, but
when you talk Kleven, like he should be watching Zadorov. And dude,
but you watch him.
Zadorov's last 5 years, like he had a tough first 4 years. I mean, he was on that awful Colorado Avalanche team in 2017. Yes. In his last 400 games, he has 90 points and is plus 53 with 400 penalty minutes.
Hey man,
that'd be amazing.
It's not sexy. It's not always sexy, but those are the guys you need, especially when the games get heavier, especially in the playoffs, that seem to just thrive, right? So, you know, that's if Kleven, I feel like Kleven's got probably a little more upside. Maybe I don't know enough about him other than what I see on the highlights, and it's usually destroying players. But yeah, anything similar to Zadorov would be a win, because you get your rock or your stabilizer on that second pairing, potentially with Sanderson or Shabbat, and it's win-win for everybody.